Hi, everybody. Today's episode of GameGO is filmed on a boat.
We're on a boat. I'm on a boat.
We're convinced. We're convincing.
We're convincing.
All right, finally, dry land. Now we can get back to GameGO, a podcast where we talk about video games and whatever else we want. We're your hosts, H8BitHero and Sonorith.
Hi, everybody. We got a lot of news again in the world of video games. Up first, we want to talk about Pokemon Go, that big fad from last summer.
And nothing past that.
I mean, I know people that still play it occasionally, but that summer was actually really nice for just going out and meeting strangers.
That was cool.
They actually won the best mobile game at the 21st Annual Webby Awards. And when global marketing lead Arkit Bhargava gave the acceptance speech, their acceptance speech, the limit is 5 words.
That's pretty ridiculous.
Well,
it's worse than that's a at midnight trope.
But the global marketing lead, being who he is, he gave a pretty good speech. He said this summer will be legendary, which anybody who's been waiting,
Legend.
Wait for it.
Dairy.
All right. Everyone's been waiting for the legendary Pokemon to finally appear in the game, and hopefully this is going to be their first look. So, I'm kind of excited. I might download it again just to see if I can get an Articuno or something.
Cool. I'm really excited to finally get my my Switch Splatoon bundle box.
Just the box, huh?
Yeah, it's $5.
Cool.
Japanese website, Nintendo's Japanese website. It's got it listed for $5. It's just the Splatoon box. It totally looks like they're gonna sell you the bundle. It's just the box.
I don't think that they're trying to trick anybody. But it doesn't even come assembled for you. It's just a flat cardboard thing. So I mean, if you want it to look nice, and you still keep your Switch in that box whenever you're not playing it, that might be a nice little thing. I don't know anybody personally who's gonna buy it, but I'm sure somebody will.
Yeah, just a $5 box that's weird. Like they just printed out too many of them.
I really think it's just because,
like
it even has a color scheme for like the neon green control.
Yeah, that's cool, but I mean, it's not like they released extra boxes that were just the boxes for Mario Kart.
That's
or
true.
For whatever other exclusives they had.
From what I hear, though, Splatoon is really big in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is more. I mean, that's why it's on their Japanese website. It's probably geared more specifically to them.
Mario Kart.
I know. Anyway, next, speaking of Mario Kart, Nintendo actually had to remove it. Well, they didn't have to, I don't think. They removed an offensive gesture, offensive in quotes there. It's the Inkling girl when she wins. She grips her bicep in a victory pose.
Oh my God! But Mario Kart thinks that the Squid Girl is talking crap.
Yeah, it's like an FU in some countries. And I don't know if I haven't heard any official complaints, but I think they just want it to be kind of safe for everybody. They don't want some European children to see this and start copying it, and then the adults freaking out about it.
This actually isn't the first time that's happened. Trying to remember the game, but I know that it's happened a couple of times in their animes too, where they're just doing that victory pose where they grip onto that before your elbow, just right there, the bicep. They're just gripping at it, and it kind of looks like that whole other one where you kind of uppercut the air in the direction of somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice that they're taking this precaution. I don't know if it's necessary, but it's Nintendo. Ubisoft announced Far Cry 5 finally. We reported that it looked like it was going to be a Western, but it turns out it's not. It's just taking place in Montana, and it's in a fictional place called Hope County. So hopefully, we saw the trailer, and there's some they're singing Amazing Grace while someone's getting their head bashed in against the church bell.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be like one of those red state, you're fighting a religious, psycho cult kind of thing.
Which is a really interesting... I don't remember the last time I've seen it where it's a realistic kind of cult level. Every time a cult's involved in games that I've seen... It's
over the top.
They got hoodies, they're in some kind of church that they've built themselves, and it's a massive temple. It's like, nobody knew this was here?
Yeah, although, I mean, the last few games, they've had the whole, spiritualism involved, so maybe that's going to, somehow link into this, where you have to kind of see their point of view or something.
You're
to
talking
fight
about
them.
like kind of like where.
Well, in Far Cry 3, you had to become like this great warrior, and in Far Cry 4, I think you took these weird spirit vision journeys.
Yeah, I saw some of those, the drug trips, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but we'll talk more about that when there's more news. Minecraft is changing one of their big mechanics for breeding parrots. In the games, you can feed an animal a certain food, and it'll tame it, or it'll follow you, or if you feed two of them, then they'll breed with each other and just pop out a little version of them. And that's how you get more babies.
So you just feed any two of the same animal and then sex?
Pretty much. It's obviously it's not graphic because they're blocks, and also this game is geared towards children.
Is it blocked out? Like,
no,
does it
it's
mosaic
not censored. No, this isn't The Sims. They just kind of kiss.
What would
and then,
that even look like?
Anyway, so they kiss and then another one pops out. For parrots, you originally bred and tamed them with chocolate chip cookies, but turns out that chocolate is like fatal to parrots. So hopefully there weren't any kids who thought that this was a good thing and went out and tried to feed a parrot some chocolate chip cookies. Minecraft lead Jen Bergensten, they said they didn't expect. I think they said it was a reference to the Nirvana song Polly.
Okay.
I was looking through the lyrics, so I didn't see anything about. I saw crackers.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the closest thing.
Saying, Polly,
maybe it's the closest thing to crackers in Minecraft. So they're like, okay, that's cute. But no, so they are going to change it.
Glad I didn't finish that because I think I would have had to pay.
So yeah, I mean, kids aren't. I don't think a kid playing a violent game is necessarily going to influence their behavior. They're not going to go out and GTA some cars and. But I mean, this was a positive thing that you're doing in the game. You're feeding a parrot. So, right. I mean, I think in that case, kids might be like, that seems like a nice thing to do.
That's something that I can do that I can't imagine getting in trouble for. Oh, damn it.
Why is Polly on the... Oh, no. Okay. Anyway, so it's good that they're changing that. In other news, Witcher's being made into a Netflix drama.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, hopefully it's handled as well as the games, although the author of the books might disagree with me. His name is Andrzej Sapkowski, and he's going to be the creative consultant.
That first name is a little rough.
Yeah. But yeah, he took a flat sum for the games, and that was a mistake, I think.
What do you mean?
He got paid a flat rate instead of like taking points. No, well, in the game. The wildly successful games.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully he'll I mean, the games are great, and if they took any influence from if they took a lot of influence from the books, then I think he deserves some more money than maybe what he got. I'm not sure exactly the number there, but hopefully this Netflix thing will kind of get him what he deserves.
Gotta wonder how that worked out. Not necessarily. I mean, he might have just been like, yeah, I mean, whatever. They're just games, right? Who knows if that was his approach to it.
How are you going to turn this into a game?
Yeah.
Okay. But we'll see. Hopefully the show's good. But
ARMS Test Punch.
Yeah, that seems pretty exciting.
Really interesting way to present a demo. Yeah,
they did that with Splatoon like a month ago.
What did they give it? Didn't they just call it a demo though, or like?
I think it was a Splatoon test splat or something. Or test shoot.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the Test Punch, and it's scheduled for the next 2 weekends. It's going to be May 26th to the 28th, and June 2nd to the 4th. And they're weird. There's like a 5 o'clock in the morning time, and it's only for 59 minutes, well, 1 hour, but it's going to end like 59 minutes, like right before the next hour.
At 59 is when it ends, not at 00 the next hour.
Yeah. So check that out. We'll put the link for the times in the video on YouTube. And hopefully you can play. Hopefully you find out if it's good or not and whether or not you want to buy it. But it looks cool. I mean, the characters that they're revealing are all pretty interesting. Especially the DNA guy. I think his name is Helix. I might have misheard that.
No, cool. I don't think it's Helix.
Do you have a name?
No, but I swore it was cool, something right? Flobby.
Yeah, he looks like Flubber with boxing gloves. And he can like stretch and stuff. It looks pretty cool. The whole game looks like it's going to be fun.
He's the result of them trying to recreate ARMS.
Okay. Really?
He's.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's awesome. But yeah, he looks interesting, and I think there's even a level where there's a bunch of him in test tubes while you're fighting around them.
Oh!
Yeah.
Is that I saw the science lab level.
I think that's it, yeah.
Ring. I didn't realize that in the test tubes were more of him.
I think,
it's like green goo, but I didn't know if it was characters.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool, but you know what's even cooler? Destiny 2. That was the big
Oh,
reveal this
damn.
Thursday. Yeah, on Thursday they had a big conference in LA, like letting people try the game out for the first time. Unfortunately, we didn't get to go, but maybe next time. But there is a lot, so I kind of want to just like get into it. First of all, Destiny 2, it's going to be a proper sequel to the game. The story is going to move in a bigger and better direction, and they're introducing a lot of quality of life changes. In the previous game, you used to have to, if you wanted to go to another place, like let's say you're on Earth exploring, you're like, you know what, I want to go to Venus. You'd have to go to bring up your little ghost. He would warp you to your ship, and that's like a loading screen. You'd be in the director, which is where you look at all the destinations and pick where you want to go. And then you select one, you go to another loading screen, and then finally you land. And the
That's
whole process,
already...
Yeah, that's too many steps. So they're taking that all out. That you can go to the director from your menu when you pause the game and pick where you want to go, and then the ship will zip you up and you're on your way. This next change that they're doing is going to be more of a story-based one, but people are going to be happy to hear it. A lot of complaints that I've heard about the game are that there's no story in it. And yeah, there's very little, and it's kind of confusing and very vague. You have to go into the Grimoire to find it, which isn't even the game. It's on you can go to the app or you can go to the Bungie website, and there's these cards that you can earn doing raids or killing a certain enemy a certain number of times, and they all have like little information, which is like, it's cool, but it's also like not the best way to get a story across, especially when you're trying to come out as like the next big sci-fi epic story.
Yeah.
So they're going to get rid of the Grimoire in the next game. They said that they're not going to get rid of the lore. They're just going to try to make it more like a part of the game.
Okay.
So that you don't have to like pause it and go read something else, go do your research. Now I'm hoping that the adventures that you're doing are going to we found, there was one mission in the first game where you go into the raid by yourself, the first raid.
Okay.
And you find somebody's body, and it turns out he was part of the original team that went in there and like got lost in time.
Oh.
So you go in and you find this person who and you're finding his transmissions thinking he's still alive.
Uh-huh.
No, these got scattered to the winds like across time. So you're finding them just whenever, and you find him dead, and it's like, it was, for me, like I felt like more of gravity of the situation.
Right. Considering
like I found his body, So hopefully this is going to pay off for them, because I know the story was probably the weakest part of the game. Another problem they had was like the loot. Like when you got to level 20, which was the max at the time, then you had to start like grinding for the good loot.
At the time, you mean when it first released?
Back when it first released, yeah. They've gone through so many like lengths to fix that, and it looks like now in its current form, Destiny 1, whatever you're doing, you're progressing. You're working to better your character. And it seems like they really learned, like, this was like not a very popular kind of game. You saw it kind of in Borderlands, but they really took it, like, I think to the next level with Destiny. And so I don't fault them for messing up, for making mistakes. It just sucks that some people are now like burned by them, and they're like, you know what, we just paid them for an incomplete game. And it's like, it's not incomplete. This is something that they needed to figure out and tweak. And you're only going to do that when everyone's like giving them feedback. Mm-hmm. And they listen sometimes. I mean, God knows that they've always tried balancing all the weapons, and it looks like they've probably found a good balance. I mean, nothing in Crucible, this is a PvP. There's nothing more frustrating than getting killed because somebody slides across the floor at you and shoots you with a shotgun for one hit kill. Mm-hmm. Or getting sniped because you jumped out at the wrong moment. And yeah, you can practice and get better to avoid that kind of stuff, but it's just, if you're starting out, it happens so often that it's frustrating, you don't want to go back to it. So to that end, they're going to do two big changes to PvP. Well, one specific to PvP, one general. The PvP change is going to be that they're making the team smaller from 6 people to 4. But that's across all game types. Okay. So actually you're going to see an increase in this very elite PvP competition called Trials of Osiris. It was a 3-man team. You don't revive. You can't respawn. You'd have to be revived by your teammate. But now they're going to increase that number to 4. So hopefully it's more tactical, and like they're saying that it's a slower kind of experience, but that it's more tense. Okay. The other change to the weapons themselves is that you're no longer going to have primary, special, and heavy weapons. There's going to be kinetic weapons, energy weapons, and power weapons. Now, power weapons are going to be your rocket launchers, but now they've added the grenade launchers, and those are going to be power weapons, and also shotguns and sniper rifles, things that'll kill you with one attack, basically, because they don't want people to just spam like shotguns and just rack up kills.
They don't want one-hit kills.
Exactly. Like, this is something that you hold on to and you use it when you need it, not just because you found some ammo. Like, there, 6 bullets, 6 kills, But the kinetic and the energy weapons, it looks like primary weapons are getting split up into two. In the first game, primary weapons were basically non-elemental. They had elements at first, but they took it out because they realized it forced people to pick a certain weapon instead of by element rather than by other attributes.
Mm-hmm.
So now kinetic weapons are going to be just like the regular weapons that we've seen in the first game, non-elemental. Energy weapons are going to be elemental weapons. So that way you can have, like, if you want two hand cannons, one of them being like a shock one and one just like a regular hand cannon, you can do that. I think they're trying to.
So was it before every gun had an element?
No. At first, some of the primary weapons did.
Uh-huh.
But they found that people were gravitating to certain ones because of their element alone.
Element. Okay.
Yeah, so they got rid of elements in primaries, and now that was just in special weapons and heavy weapons.
Okay.
So now it looks like they're taking special and heavy and putting them into the heavy weapons. I mean the power weapons, and then primary is getting elements back, but that's splitting into two categories now. It's a little confusing, but if you're playing it, like it'll make sense very quickly. But the grenade launcher looks dope. They're also changing all of the classes a little bit. They're actually even adding the Solar Warlock used to be a Sunsinger. Now it's called the Dawnblade. And when you activate his ability, he gets this giant flaming sword that he can like float across the battlefield with and just chuck like flaming waves of death, rain, destruction on the enemy.
That sounds nice.
It looks cool. The Titan Defender is getting reworked into the what's it called? The Sentinel. And instead of putting up a big bubble to defend people, like as his old ability was, he's got a Captain America shield now. It looks pretty cool. He was running around with it, and it's like purple and glowy because it's void. But he'll chuck it, and it'll bounce off a few people.
That's quite a difference in ability.
Yeah, but actually, I'll get back into that in a moment. First, the Hunter, the Blade Dancer is now the Arc Strider. Before he had a little knife, and he would go around like zipping around and one hit killing you. It was kind of it sucked to get attacked by it because you would just die. Now he's turning into the Arc Strider, where instead of the blade, he's got a pole like Nightwing. Mm-hmm. And he'll like spin around with it and do like cool martial arts looking stuff. I'm not sure if it's gonna be different in terms of its function. It looks like it's just cosmetically different, but this was just a look at it. So hopefully we'll see more closer to the release. But on top of the web changes that they've done here, they're also adding latent abilities like to each class, or maybe even subclass, because these seem specific to the subclasses. Like the Dawnblade, the Sunbreaker was originally a support class. So the Dawnblade now has an ability to basically create a pool of light that'll either heal your allies or it can give them a power boost so they do more damage.
Okay.
The Titan, he can put up a wall. Now either it'll be a wall that goes all the way up to defend your team, or it'll be a shorter wall that you can reload ammo behind it like automatically.
Like cover.
Pretty much, yeah. And then the Hunter, it's not the Arc Strider, the Gunslinger, he can do a dodge roll like you could before, but now he can reload when he does it. So it looks like they're giving each subclass abilities to kind of better define those classes. Like there wasn't a healer in the first game, so maybe now the Dawnblade with his little healing pool is going to be like the best thing for it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, those all are all class changes that seem like it's gonna be pretty cool, and you're gonna feel like I'm not a Void Warlock, I'm the a Dawnblade. And you can tell that you are. The last thing I wanted to talk about was the raid. This is like the big piece of endgame content where they're actually introducing mechanics to the fight that like you have to figure out on your own, or if you watch somebody online play, they don't explain this to you at all. But before you can't matchmake into these things. You can't select the raid by yourself and be like, here's 5 other players. Good luck. You had to use like third-party websites to like find 5 other people to play with, or have just a few friends. But now they're introducing what's called guided games, where you can have a solo player join with a clan, which are going to be more fleshed out in this game. And they're trying to... It'll be like a trial for the solo player. Mm-hmm. Like, first in trying the clan out to see if this is a nice group of people that they like playing with, and also to try the content that normally you wouldn't get to play. Hopefully this isn't going to lead to like elitism where you're like, because in the first game people were like, you have to have this emblem that was proof that you beat the raid before, you had to have a certain weapon, you had to have a certain light level.
They didn't want to deal with anybody lower
noobs
level.
Basically.
I was trying to be nice.
Well, I'm not trying to be mean, it's just that that's what people were looking for. I understand the frustration of going through trying over and over again and losing every time because somebody doesn't know the content, but I mean there's better ways to go about it, and the more you teach people that want to learn, you're going to get less people that don't know what they're doing weeks down the line, you know?
Right.
But yeah, this is hopefully going to be a great idea. I'm looking forward to helping people through it if they've never done it before. And the last change, it's going to be on PC, which is new. But it's going to be on Battle.net, on Blizzard Launcher, because they're both owned by Activision. And actually, if you play World of Warcraft, you can use WoW tokens to buy the game.
That's interesting.
Yeah, actually the value of it's jumped like 30,000 gold from like 110 to 40.
Whew.
I think it's balanced out a little more now, but it's still at higher than it was before because of the new value of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you only need 4 of those tokens to get the game anyway. Yeah, it should be cool. I'm excited for it. Like I said, I know that the first game was a little rough, but hopefully the people that, they'll give it a second chance, or at least Destiny 2 give it a first chance. It looks like it's going to be great, and hopefully it'll be fun, and maybe some of you guys can join me and my group for raids.
It looks like Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to be delayed until the next fiscal year. It's supposed to release sometime this year, but it looks like they're going to change it to April 1st, 2018, or sometime thereafter. Take-Two stock dropped 9% as a result of this announcement.
Yeah, it sucks.
Pretty big hit.
Yeah, I mean, I expected it, and I don't know why nobody else did. I don't know. It just seems like people were excited for it and they haven't shown anything besides the initial release trailer. I mean, the reveal trailer. So
yeah, people,
general public,
we as the public should expect it. Yeah, they're giving us an announcement date of then. Oh, we haven't seen a damn thing. When does the delay happen? When are they going to tell us it's going to happen later? Yeah. It's par for the course now.
Yeah, for some reason.
But also, for some other reason, as par for the course as it is, why do they keep giving out release dates?
Yeah.
Or why don't they themselves say this, or we're aiming for this, but we'll say 2 years later after that. I don't know.
For a game as big as that,
I know they don't do that because it would also upset people who are the public. The players aren't the only ones looking forward to this. They're investors, and they're all wanting to plan around this. But still, I thought you guys were the smart ones. You guys are supposed to be the ones that can look at plans and patterns and profit off that.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't get delayed again, but, we'll see. We've been playing a few games this week. I tried Thumper out. You tried a little bit of it, too. What did you think?
That game, I want more of it.
Yeah, it looks really pretty. And I was only playing it on the small screen for the Switch. It came out for the Switch, I should mention. It's been out for the PS4 and, I believe, Xbox, but...
No PC?
I don't think so. I haven't heard anything about it on PC.
But, yeah, I heard about it a couple of months ago, and I heard about the whole, horror... music.
It's disturbing and kind of creepy.
I get why they're saying it. It's not. It's not. It wasn't actually scary at all.
It's very percussive though.
Yes.
It's not like most games where it's like you're following the melody. Yeah, it's like and then you're following that, and it feels very primal almost, where it's like you're getting into the action because of the beats, and it's a cool game. I really enjoyed what I've played of it so far.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to beating it at some point, and there's a score thing, so that's another reason to go back to it.
It has a really slick presentation to it, and it's not... you're playing as a beetle, going full speed down this track to not a straight-up music beat like... or anything like that. Instead, you're... you got... one level is divided into several segments.
Yeah, the first level is divided into 15.
Okay, so you got 15 segments in the first level, and every one of those segments is just another kind of pattern that makes a slightly... Kind of like in a Bit Trip Runner, when there were repeated segments on there. Think of those little bits, and this is split up into 15 of those. And you can when you fail, you don't go back the whole way through the whole song. You go back to the last...
that segment, yeah.
Yeah. So imagine if on Guitar Hero, on practice mode, if you would go back to just every segment instead. It's kind of like that. But then also, it's got a very unique way of presenting the quote-unquote...
objectives?
The music, the gems, yeah, the obstacles. Yeah. Their gems are... really crazy. They just the bumpers on the left and right side, you have
grind against them.
Yeah, you grind against them, but by pulling in the opposite direction. So if there's bumpers on the right, you have to press left and grind and that turns your body that way, so that then your ass end grinds up and it's sharp, kind of not stinger sharp, but
it's pointed. So you're like, I don't know if you're slicing through it or if you're just grinding against it.
That's what I was
like
wondering
maybe
too.
Maybe a needle on a record player.
But for sure, you don't lose that shell.
Yeah. And there's some boss fights that one of them feature like a big face, and it basically sounds like it's spitting the music at you, and you have to like knock it back, kind of like a Link and Ganondorf situation. But it's cool. You have to. The music comes at you so fast, like the obstacles, that you need to really listen to it. Like there's some certain obstacles where you need to hold a button to like basically crash into them safely. And when they go up onto the track, you can hear it going ping, 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 and that's like the rhythm that you're going to be hitting them at. So it helps to really like get some headphones or a nice sound system. I think you were the one that figured those out, right?
Yeah, the spots like it's crazy because you just have to hold down your either A or R button to deflect those away. But it's the points before and after and in between that it's important to hear their beat. Because that's when you also know there's other points where you're gonna have to let go of holding A, slap it again, and then after that hold it down a separate time again. So those shink shink shinks in the background.
Yeah, those are cool. It sounds good with the music going.
It just it's important to listen to them and watch as they come up, because just like it is for a music track, like a solo on Rock Band, it's you need to be able to like look it up there and then know what you're gonna have to do when it comes down and hits you.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing through the rest of it. Another game that came out recently, I think Kate's been playing it, Shadows of Valentia, right?
Yeah, I streamed that not the night it came out over here, the night after it came out. I had some issues getting it the night of. But yeah, that game, I'm playing alongside at the same time. I'm playing Awakening.
You know, to be clear, we're talking about the Fire Emblem series.
Fire Emblem Echoes. Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia. This is a remake of the first one.
I think it was the second one, Fire Emblem Gaiden.
Second one, sorry. But it's an old one, redone.
I've seen comparisons of the characters. Like, it looks so much better. I think the original was on NES.
Yeah. I fell in love with the sprite design right away. Like, just, I never want to stop. I don't even want to see the 3D models. I want to see them remake the battle animations instead and make those 3D / give them 2D.
Kind of like a Pokemon Black and White.
The sprites running around in a 3D land. Yeah. I want something like that. I want to see something like that from them, because the battle sprites the battleground sprites looks so freaking great.
Yeah.
The gameplay, it's weird. It doesn't have the pairing system that Awakening has, and I'm playing Awakening like alongside this.
Well, that's a more recent thing too, so I think maybe they just didn't bring it into the original game.
Right. So I didn't know whether to say this game is easier or harder to manage, because also right away I noticed in Awakening, maybe you're really aiming really early to one-hit kill just about every time that you encounter somebody, or at the very least make their next counter that kill. On this one, you know that that these are gonna take multiple turns. That every enemy is gonna be at least 1 or 2 turn fights, and they really trying to gear you up for that or get you ready for that. They advise really early on, make sure to send someone in strong first, and then have someone behind them weaker who can finish them off. And it's important that they get some experience. It was good that they make sure to focus to let you know, spread the combat around. Everybody needs to level up.
Yeah, I remember playing the first game that came to America on the Game Boy Advance. I leveled like maybe 3 characters. I needed them to like...
I'm grinning because I already know what's going to happen to him.
Yeah. If they couldn't take on everybody, but that ended up having to be their burden because everyone else would just die, like looking at the people in the later chapters. But yeah, no, what were you going to say about the rest of it?
I was going to talk about another feature. They've got dungeon crawling that they've added to this one.
Like Final Fantasy or Persona, or?
No, I mean, at least for the very first dungeon that I went through, it's not going to be that deep. I've heard some similarities already to that, but that it's far dumbed down, simplified. Yeah, they're fairly linear and had like one or two little branch points, quote unquote. They just went out. They're clearly on the map labeled. You can check it out. You can go around and attack the items. Like there's destructible items in the area, and you can break those. And usually some kind of useful item will come out, some small food item or some little coin. Enemies are walking around listening for you.
Woo.
They can, it's kind of a stealth portion, and if you like classic RPGs, if you run into them, that engages a fight like it would any other.
Is it just like a regular Fire Emblem fight?
It's you know what? I can't remember for the life of me right now if it just does the one-on-one with your character or if you go into a full-on like battlefield. But it does start a fight. You can also avoid them. You got dashing. It's not super robust, but I was surprised that, I can run. I have a dashing run. I have a dash run attack, and I can explore this area. Yeah, it's not as... I thought it was just going to be walk around a dungeon and that's it. It's a little bit more complex, but also you're not Link. You're not going to explore any...
Yeah.
You're not going around opening like 20 treasure chests to open up a lock to solve any puzzles or anything like that.
Yeah, that's still... That it sounds like it's fun.
It was interesting to just see it thrown in there. It's like, whoa! I remember this was just drama chess. Now I'm actually running around.
Yeah, drama chess.
But yeah, it's another big difference is the map, how linear it is. I'm like, okay, Mario Brothers 3, we're going.
It's not an open world anymore.
It's a straight line. You're still going along a world map, but it is one linear line that you're traveling down from one end to another.
Did you play Advance Wars: Days of Ruin?
Was that I don't think so. That was the second one on DS?
Yeah, that one had a similar thing where it's like, here's a story nodes that you're going through. But
yeah, you know what? That's a good... Yeah, they were story nodes. That was more like it was.
Can you go back and replay them, though?
You go back... No, you don't replay them. I don't think you replay them. You can go back to the shop that was there or whatever other...
Oh, okay.
Like that cave was guarded by first a fight. And so after that fight, you gained access to that cave.
Oh, okay. But then in the newer Fire Emblem games, there would be like random generic enemies would pop up to fight, like that just kind of a training thing. Is that
hasn't happened yet to me?
Ooh, then that might be tougher.
Happens, then yeah.
You could always like just train your characters on those generic fights.
Grind for experience.
Yeah, basically. So I'm wondering how much harder this game's gonna get if you have to really like look after your characters, like you had to in I think it's called the Sacred Sword for the Game Boy Advance. Yeah, well, hopefully it's not too much harder.
Yeah, like I said, it because of that pairing system being gone, I thought this was going to be a whole lot harder. But then again, from the get-go, everybody's attacking multiple times, whereas whereas in these new ones, you start out only being able to attack once, and maybe after a couple of levels, it's a standard for everybody to start attacking.
Yeah, it's like speed.
Yep.
You have to,
These guys, half of them were already double attacking. But then also, everybody is like at 40 HP to start.
Oh, wow.
As opposed to
like 20 or 17.
And some of them, I remember, like some of them ages, I think start at like 9 or 11 with their
you have to be careful.
Yeah. Wow,
okay.
These were all crazy surprises to see, like, oh, wow, this is still Fire Emblem. I'm still walking along a grid. Oh, no weapon triangle.
What?
No weapon triangle in this one.
So there's no advantages at all, or what?
I don't know what they are, but it's not the weapon triangle that we used to come to know.
This is cool. This is like a look into the past, and then they made the game a lot prettier. So it's cool to see like what Fire Emblem came from, what it is now, and then maybe there's still lessons in those older games that can be applied to the newer ones.
It's not like I can really say it's a bastardization or not, or that they're getting it right or not, because I never played the original. But what's cool is to see that it wasn't just going to take all the new mechanics we have now and throw them at an old game, and that was it.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
It's cool to see this game just like get that really nice facelift. It looks effing beautiful, guys. Like,
well, and then we saw the thing where it zooms in from the fight on the map.
Oh, I forgot. That is so cool. Like, it finally, like, the camera top down, when you start the match, traditionally, the camera would zoom in, but there was always a fade out to hide the fact that, you're not in the same map, that you're
Fighting
It's really quickly loading the battle scene, and then after the battle scene, we go cut back to black, and then zoom out on the world map.
And then it was always generic too. Like if you had one person in like a fort, and then another person in a tree area, it would just show like the floor, the battleground was the fort.
Yeah.
But now
it was
right?
whoever was the attack being whoever was the attacker was the one that's where they fought.
Yeah, but now
in this one, just whichever two squares they end up on, it actually zooms in on the map in that part of the it actually zooms in on that part of the map, and then loads the two
sprites.
Fighters, not sprites, the models.
I'm sorry, the models, yeah.
It replaces the sprites with the models seamlessly as hell. I can't tell you what it even looks like. It does it that smoothly. You just zoom in and bam, those two are there. You see the fight, zoom out, you feel like an eagle zoomed in and then flew back up to get out and then see what the hell else is going on in this battlefield. It's great. That's awesome.
That is
it's
really
so cool.
I remember seeing that in the trailer. And I was like, it's like a small thing that you might not notice right away, but it's like it blows your mind when you're like, wow, that's. It seems like that. What's occlusion? Is that what we're calling?
Yeah.
Or in texture pop in when you get closer to a texture in a game and it like just gets more detailed. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah,
but nicer. It didn't look like it was an accident.
Like getting on that technical scale, it seems like they just took advantage of something of that kind of feature and decided, okay, you know what? We'll make the lowest level LODs. We'll make them slightly more detailed than we should for their purpose. And then when you zoom in, that's when, it gets actually as detailed as it's supposed to be. That was such a cool idea, and so it just handles it so well, so easily. I after seeing it done here, I'm like, why didn't it just always do that? It doesn't. I don't think we got any new technologies that are suddenly allowing for that. Even with the addition of the more powerful new 3DS, I think that still could have been done before. Just kind of,
I think people were just looking at it a different way, and like that was like a eureka thing because it is really cool. I mean, it's not a huge game changer, but it's like
it's not even awesome. A gameplay. It's just such a really cool addition to the presentation.
Yeah,
I think I've talked the longest about something that's not even gameplay related.
It's still cool. Like I mean, when games went from 2D to 3D, that was a big deal.
Oh, one thing.
Uh-oh.
If you like Fire Emblem 4 story, then get excited. You're gonna get plenty of it.
Is it too lengthy, like words?
The first cutscene, I had my 3DS sitting down for like 15 minutes.
Wow.
Maybe not that long, but honestly, it was...
It was lengthy enough for you to notice.
We were probably crossing 10 minutes.
Jesus. All right.
And like, within the first maybe hour or hour and a half of gameplay, I only actually played for maybe about 20 minutes is where I was moving a cursor, controlling people.
Well, and I heard that they're not actually videos this time. The movie, the cutscenes aren't like, are they fully modeled and like acted and stuff?
There's an opening video that is rendered. There's no animations this time.
Okay.
But yeah, they are all modeled in-game cinematics with almost entire voice acting.
Oh, wow. Then
like,
what are they reading?
Every line is voice acted. There are very few villagers and like just random generic events that like it is more stirring to you when you come across and don't hear them say something.
Wow, yeah.
They're so common that you feel like they're gonna be everywhere, and it feels a little weird when like one of the first old men you talk to that gives you one of your first side quests, he happens to not have a voiceover. I'm like, that could have been super easy, but whatever. Also, almost everything else in this game has a freaking voice. And it was kind of cool, as lengthy as those are, maybe too lengthy for me, it still is cool that I don't have to sit there and like keep hitting the A button to read through these text boxes. They're voiced, and they're not done poorly. I'm really glad, like, I guess growing up, if I saw an anime character and I knew that there was an English dub, I was gonna get ready to cringe. I was gonna get ready to hate the voice. So there's absolutely no one in reality that sounds anything like that. Where are these people getting these voice cues from?
Yeah.
But these voiceovers, voiceovers here, It's just, okay, cool. They don't sound like real people, quote unquote. They still sound like voice actors, but none of them are making me like
recoil in disgust.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I remember. Well, it's less voice, more the animation where the kid's running down the hill with the sword. It looks silly.
Yeah, it does.
But then I'm like, if he falls, the way that I would have run, I would have died if I fell. Like I would have landed on my sword.
Because your sword would have been in the front of you, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like
at least if this guy falls, he maybe kills somebody in the back of him.
No, he'll fall forward and like his sword will fall safely away from him, not through his gut. So, do you think it's worth the price tag?
Well, now that they've actually included the feet in there, yeah, I think so. It's $39.99 like any other game.
Cool. All right. And the Thumper was $19.99 on the Switch. So far, I mean, if it's as engaging as any of the other games I've played, it's definitely worth the price tag.
It was freaking beautiful, and yeah, the little bit that we played, it was fun.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous. I can't wait to put it on the big screen because I've been playing it on the handheld version so far.
Because you forgot your freaking dock.
Oh. So there's a lot of games coming out in the next week.
We started a new rule for our On the Horizon games that we're going to cover. And we're going to make sure that we mention only games that are coming out from here until the next podcast.
Yeah, that way we're not talking about a game that's months in advance and then we have to cover it again later, So hopefully by the time, they're about to come out, we'll have all of the information that you need.
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
So what's first?
The first one coming out is Vanquish. That's coming out to PC on the 25th.
Yeah, this one was exciting. It was a PS3 exclusive from Platinum. People were really upset about that exclusivity, especially because it was on PS3 and that numbers. So, yeah, it's great that this is coming out for only $20. There is no if you like even just decent games, if you liked anything about Bayonetta at $20, you're gonna love this. If you like over-the-top action, you're gonna like this. If you like over-the-top characters, you're gonna like Vanquish. If you like just Platinum and when they're at their best, you're gonna like Vanquish. I'm gonna pick it up soon, and we're all gonna play it together to have a good time.
Cool. And for $20, yeah, it sounds like a steal. Ultra Street Fighter 2. Yeah, this is another re-release kind of game. Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challenges for the Switch, coming out this Friday, the 26th.
The 26th, yeah.
Of May.
That's correct.
And they are adding a few characters like Dark Ryu and Violent Ken. I saw Ken has like a dashing ability.
Yeah. He's supposed to be the one that if you are more familiar with new games, you should probably play. I was either him or the Dark Ryu. No, he's not Evil Ryu it's Violent Ken and Evil Ryu, right? There we go.
Yeah, Violent Ken is geared more towards people that are more familiar with newer games, whereas a few pros who played the older game, the original Street Fighter 2, they tried Ultra Street Fighter 2. They seem to like it. I think I mentioned that actually last week or the week before, but yeah, I think it's worth repeating. They liked it. I think anybody who has even a passing interest in this kind of stuff is going to like it too. They're also adding a duo mode where it's like you and another friend against the computer, which sounds kind of cheap, but apparently the computer is capable of blocking from both directions at once. Yeah. So you have to actually coordinate your attacks.
That probably comes from Alpha 3. I believe it's Street Fighter Alpha 3 on PS1. They had drama mode. It was an unlockable, and it let you play Ryu and Ken against M. Bison in that scenario, and because that's a canon thing. Okay. So it let you play that scenario, and I think that's where they took this from.
Yeah, I saw the panel at WonderCon. They mentioned that this would be perfect even for parents and their kids who want to the kid wants to mash buttons while the parent hangs back and just chucks fireballs and Hadoukens and other projectiles. It looks cool, but like you said, the computer seems like they're going to be able to take on two people at once. So
handicaps.
Yeah. They're also adding another thing, actually, with I think the Joy-Con motion controls. It's going to be a first-person view of Ryu that you're fighting with. Have you seen that?
No.
Yeah. It's just a completely different thing. Apparently, I mean, it's the developer saying this, but they've tried it and it seems fun. So, I mean, hopefully we'll hear more about that afterwards.
I want to check this out.
It's first person. I know Dragon Ball Z tried that and it was weird, but hopefully this is cool. The same day, Guilty Gear, what's it, Zerd, you said? Rev 2 coming out for PS3, PS4, and Windows. It'll also be out on Friday. Have you heard anything about this game?
Yeah. No, I tested it, and I played it a while ago. This is, Guilty Gear's next thing, and it came out to great reviews. I'm assuming that this is the second This is
sequel?
their ultra. Or not ultra, but they're super.
Oh, maybe like Revision 2.
That's what I'm pretty sure REV means there.
Okay. Well, yeah. If you like those games, I think they're the people that behind BlazBlue, right? Or
Yeah. They're the same guys who made BlazBlue. They also did. The name escapes me, but yeah, those guys make quality games, and Guilty Gear, it came out to great reviews.
Isn't their gimmick like you can fight in two planes?
That was specifically
to one of the older ones.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember seeing that one a while ago. The 4 days after that, the 30. Actually, it'll be next Tuesday. We'll mention it today because we're not going to cover the game that comes out on the day of. But there's a few games coming in next Tuesday. The first one I'm mentioning today is Tropico 5 Complete Collection. That's coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC. It'll be out on the 30th, which should be next Tuesday, unless time goes all crazy. This is basically you're running a country as like a dictator, and they try to do like a kind of a playful jabs at the whole premise, because I think that was the premise of the original game.
Yeah, it always takes some little bits from pop culture political.
Yeah. Kind of sucks now that the world is a little more politically volatile, but let's not get into that. It's going to include all the DLC, which I think they gave away Tropico 5 with PlayStation Plus a few months ago.
Uh-huh.
So I played it, and it's a lot of fun, and it is kind of funny, and the music is like, it just reminds me of like maybe Cuban music.
Uh-huh.
It definitely has that like Miami kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, I wanted to say it's like all samba or...
Yeah, it's really catchy though, and I don't normally...
Here's the thing is I'm not sure that I'm not being racist when I say samba.
I hope not.
I don't know which one's which.
It's very catchy, and I don't normally listen to that kind of music, but even after I was playing it, I'd be like humming the tune in my head or something. It's catchy music. The gameplay is a little challenging at first because this was my first jump into the game. You might be more familiar with it, listener, but it's fun, and the complete collection, that's a lot of DLC. So, and it adds like scenarios and different units, and I think you can even build in the ocean like different stuff. It's your standard affair for DLCs. So if you like simulation games at all, definitely worth checking out.
Same day, Star Trek Bridge Crew for PS4, Windows. That's it, right? Yeah, that's going to come out. It's a VR title.
Yeah, this was actually one of the earlier titles that I saw when they were first showing off all the new VR games that were coming out with the release of Oculus and the Vive.
The slew of VR headsets.
Yeah, and actually I'm excited that it's coming to the PS4 for the VR. You're playing with 4 people. Each person has a different post on a ship, basically in the Star Trek universe. One's like the captain, one is the in charge of the shields, another one is in charge of the teleporter, and you get sent on missions, and you have to work together to get the things, the missions, solve them basically. They're like puzzle almost, because the one example that I saw, you had to rescue people stuck out in space, but also defend your ship and I think chase off people attacking you.
So, just regular everyday tasks.
Yeah. I think there's only so much energy on the ship, so you'd have to drop the shields, and you can't use a teleporter while the shield's up, so that's when you have to bring them in. Otherwise, but you have to communicate. They're not attacking us right away. This is the best chance to drop the shield, teleport them in, put the shield back up.
If you leave the door open too long, then Bonnie gets in there.
Sure, yeah. Like Five Nights at Freddy's with 4 VR people and in Star Trek.
Wow, this is 4 people having 4 Nights at Freddy's.
Anyway, it's coming out for PC and PS4. Hopefully it's as good as it sounds. The premise is awesome. Hopefully, I want to see more games like this, or like Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a title that I really want to try. But yeah, that's it for this coming week, all the notable titles. All right, so this week I actually wanted to talk about a review that I read last week. Not from us, obviously. IGN gave Prey a 4 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
You played the game. I played the game. Definitely not the score I would have given it. Maybe 8.5 at least out of 10.
Yeah, we both played it together, streamed it for a couple of hours, and definitely, even the intro sequence seemed like it should be getting more than just 4 out of 10.
Yeah, but it turns out there was a very specific reason for the 4 out of 10. They even put like a disclaimer saying like this is why. It turns out they hit a great game-breaking bug like hours into the game, and it would have erased a bunch of their progress, and that's the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah.
I remember playing Wind Waker. I beat 2 dungeons, didn't save it, blackout. I didn't play that game for months.
It's a bit worse for them too, considering they're professional reviewers.
Yeah.
They're under a time constraint. They're under.
All right. They had it worse. They had it worse than I did, obviously. But my point being, that is just such a soul crushing thing to like ask somebody to do, is to just play all that over again. But they said they'll re-review it if it gets fixed, and it did, and they did, and they got an 8 out of 10 from IGN eventually. But my point being that reviews, they're not as important, at least not to me, as some people think. At least not the numbered reviews. Traditional like 8 out of 10. Famitsu does it out of 40 because I think they do 4 reviews.
Reviews that have those hard
Numbering.
gradients
Yeah.
to them, they don't make a whole lot of sense. It's really hard to ever, in any field, change somebody's subjective opinions into like an objective
Quantifiable amount.
quantifiable amount. These things just don't convert well, and they never convert evenly, even when you do get them to convert well.
And that's kind of something I've worried about too. Like when a company has to give somebody a review, assign a review to somebody, who do they give? Okay, Destiny, would you give that to somebody who likes first-person shooters or MMOs, or somebody who doesn't like either of those? Like that small decision can affect so many people because they're going to see this review by somebody who may or may not already like the genre. Anyway, my point being, these reviews are all subjective, but some people treat them like they're way more important than they really are. I mean, it's good to have opinions from different sources, but with the internet, that's become so overly abundant that you're never going to run out of somebody to give you opinions on things, whether or not you want them to. We were reading review scores for Zelda on Metacritic.
Oh my
A lot of
God.
people. It got 6,700 good reviews, 1,500 not so good reviews. But the complaints, like, I don't know if it's just popular to hate on it because it's so popular, but it just becomes clear that people weren't even really playing the game before they gave it a zero. Somebody said they played 30 hours the second day it was out.
Yeah, 30 hours, second day it's out. They're on their second run, and they said they didn't know that they could finish the game within hours of starting it until their second run. How did you not know that thing that came out on YouTube like the day the game was released?
And not only that, but they were also marketing the game saying, you can go over and fight Ganon right away if you want to. I mean, it's not advisable because you're not going to be nearly strong enough, but I mean, people are doing it, and you could have done it.
Yeah, and again, he mentions that he did that on his second run.
Yeah.
I'm thinking he's like, oh man, this game's so easy, I could probably do this, and then thought he came to an original thought.
But yeah, I mean, games like Call of Duty specifically, those games, they generally score very well, like 9s out of 10s. I mean, not a 10, but that's, like I said, an opinion. But they don't, this last one, especially Infinite Warfare, did not sell very well. And that's because the opinions of all these consumers was more important than some reviews. And this really isn't the only example that I've seen. Like Watch Dogs, when they first revealed the game, it looked amazing. Like the end of this generation, amazing. But people, I mean, that's what they showed us, and people expected it. And when it came out, it was such a letdown. But even before that, like the reviews, it got good reviews. It got fair reviews. But that sense of, I don't know, maybe betrayal. They basically just kind of lied to people. Yeah, it was disappointment. And it affected the game more than any review could have.
Like one of the worst things you can do to anybody, especially in this time where so many other people are just, please, for the love of God, don't forget to meter your expectations. Always meter your expectations. The worst thing you can do as the guy who works on the side that, like, I'm the guy making this, and this game is freaking awesome, I can tell you guys, that's the worst effing thing you can do. Like, it's a stab in the back. It's untrustworthy. It is grimy. It's slimy. It's dirty. It's foul. It's not.
Thesaurus
is sleazy. That all of that was in an attempt to find the word sleazy.
Grimy. But even Psychonauts, a game like or Earthbound, right? Is what you were saying.
I feel like Psychonauts was a later example of
Earthbound,
Mm-hmm.
and Earthbound didn't sell as well as it because it didn't look as good as maybe people expected it to at the time.
Yeah.
This was like the tail end of the Super Nintendo, and you already had games like Star Fox on it, which looked great at the time.
It actually even had a vastly different U.S. cover. The Japanese cover was red and just had the word Mother 2.
I remember that would look kind of weird to me.
Yeah, had the logo. Gotta admit, I would not have even looked at the game. I only got the game because I saw it at the warehouse when I used to rent games, and that was the thing. It was on sale there, and I had assumed it was a 4-player game. I didn't look at the description. I just saw 4 kids. It looked like they were running around, and it had the same size packaging as Bomberman with the multi-tap. So the only thing that came to mind in my head, even though there's a nice Sunburst free strategy guide with game right there, that's why the box was that big. Is because it came with the strategy guide.
Yeah.
And so I opened it up and I'm like, what the? And I opened it up at my birthday party expecting to get to play with some of my cousins.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, you guys can sit down and watch me.
And then I deleted your progress.
And then you deleted my progress.
That was 20 years ago, though. It's okay. He's gotten over it. Maybe not. All right. Anyway, my point being, that game, people thought it looked like crap. They didn't think it was worth, even playing. And, I mean, as you can tell, they're wrong. I mean, well, I don't want to say somebody's opinion is wrong, but they are in the minority. That game is very popular. The series in general is very popular.
It was one of the best. It was one of the times I was happiest that I fell for literally a marketing ploy. The cover, the change, I'm sorry, the point of that long-ass story was that the changing cover made me buy it. The changing cover made me buy it. I would not have touched it if I had seen that Japanese one, because the Japanese cover looks like it looked like just a more mature or regular kind of just everyday, any kind of like other movie cover would have had that same thing on it.
Yeah.
But this cover that I saw had some kid in a big golden robot controlling it with 2 sticks, and then I guess the big thing that got me was seeing the 4 party members in clay on the back, and that made me assume like a lot more than what it was. Is that they're just
it's a game for friends. Yeah. But it just in Prey's situation, they fixed the game and they rescored it, and I don't even know if that's necessarily like fair. I mean, there's games that released that Unity, Assassin's Creed Unity, that game was more broken. I don't want to give it too much credit because it was pretty messed up, but nobody re-reviewed it as far as I can tell, even when they fixed everything that was wrong with it.
So it's odd that we got Prey over here, which just came out a little while ago, and they go so far. They even took the precaution of saying we'll review it we'll re-review it if they fix that. Whereas Unity, it got patched up, had its bugs fixed, but it's still going to keep its original score.
And it's worth mentioning that this game is reviewed by is affected by Bethesda's review policy.
Just like it still falls under the same blanket umbrella.
Where they give the games out the same day, right?
Yeah, blanket umbrella. I just said that.
Yeah, no, I heard it. They did too. But it's just like these situations just hurt the company more, I think.
Mm-hmm.
None of these companies get the game before like the consumers can, so they have to review them as fast as possible because of some arbitrary number system that people are gonna go to their website first to read. It sucks. And if they had gotten the copy early, they could have reached out to Bethesda and been like, "Hey, this game, this bug's broke. Like something's wrong with it." And they could have fixed it beforehand, and maybe they would have gotten a great score from the beginning, or even better than an 8 out of 10, which it's good, but come on. And I just feel like that's just another weird like problem that this creates, you know? I mean, if there wasn't such a focus on reviews, Bethesda wouldn't have made this policy in the first place. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Destiny. We were talking about Destiny 2 earlier. I was saying that Bungie was struggling to figure out what the game was because it's a first-person shooter with
MMO elements.
Yes, and even some just MMORPG stuff in there, like the raiding and people felt like they were beta testing a game, like they paid to beta test, when in reality, like this is a game that they were still figuring out themselves. I wouldn't fault them for saying like, you know, this is what we came up with. Give it a shot, and we'll fix things as they need to be changed because this is a game that had a 10-year plan.
Right.
You can't expect them that they'll get that right the first time.
When you say fix as well, you're not saying things that were broken. You're saying things that weren't balanced yet.
And not just balance. Like people, the early reviews felt like the game was manipulating people into playing it more because of the way that loot dropped and the way that you were leveling. And I mean, MMOs have been doing that for years. I don't know what. Like,
it's standard practice.
Yeah. But more importantly, Destiny figured it out, I think. I think they listened to what was happening. They saw the feedback that people were doing the raid over and over again, not getting what they wanted, and they'd have to wait a week. And they fixed that, where now it's to the point where I just started a new character. I could probably level him up to 400 in like 3 weeks. And that's not putting a ton of time into it. Doing some bounties, doing the story, and now everything that I do in the game basically gives me a sense of progression. I can get better gear from anything. And had the game been like this from the beginning, I think it would have gotten greater scores. I mean, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't great.
I guess that answers I was about to ask. Do you feel, as like your personal opinion, having gone through these updates, do you feel that they changed it for the better?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I would have agreed with the people that gave it a 6 or 7 out of 10 specifically because of the way the progression was working. In the older game, you'd hit the max level and then you'd have to struggle to get higher and higher every time.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody's going to re-review Destiny, you know? They don't give reviews to World of Warcraft.
It got its one because it's too big to get another.
I guess, yeah. I just don't understand why Prey gets that pass. And it seems really like Bethesda made that situation for themselves. And then, like, even an indie game like Mr. Shifty, that game looked cool. We saw the trailer for it, right? And apparently it plays pretty well. It's just the end of the game has some performance issues. And I feel like the scores probably, they reflect that, you know? But no one's going to rescore that. You know, so where does that come in where people can get another go? And aside from, like, all the consumer effects it has, there's even just stories that you hear. You know, people always cry that, like, oh, this game got a good score. They were obviously bribed, you know? Mm-hmm. But do you remember Kane and Lynch?
Yes. That was very infamous.
Yeah. On GameSpot.com, they had this big advertising, like, campaign with Kane and Lynch. You said that they used the whole website to advertise?
They put the whole thing, the entire front main page, left and right sides, Kane on the left, Lynch on the right.
Yeah. And when it got reviewed, it was Jeff Gerstmann. He gave it a 6 out of 10. And then he left the website.
Suddenly.
Under suspicious circumstances. And people rightfully assumed that it was because of the game. You didn't find out that it was true until, like, 5 years ago. Which is 5 years after the incident. Even.
It was controversial enough that it did have articles out. It was all over on Kotaku. It was all over the news outlets. And people were rightfully suspicious.
Yeah. It turns out that because they had given him all this, like, advertising space, they expected a good review.
Yes.
And they didn't get it, and it cost somebody his job for some reason. And I think he's doing better now anyway, right?
Yeah, he went off with a couple of other writers to end up forming Giant Bomb. And if you guys aren't listening to that podcast, you should give that a listen after us, of course.
Yeah, it just feels like it creates this horrible web of consequences. Maybe even just getting away from a numbered score, I think, would be a good start. I mean, of course, that doesn't give you, like, the whole pictures, you know, in one tidy sum, but it's better, I think, than for me, a 7 out of 10, a 7.5 out of 10, that drastically decreases my desire to play a game, which I know that's not necessarily a good thing. I'm understanding more now than I had before that a 7 out of 10 isn't necessarily a bad score. It's just not an amazing 9.5 out of 10. But if I'm one person that thinks that a 7 makes a game look worse significantly, am I the only one that thinks that?
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah. I just feel like there's better ways to go about this. And obviously, we're not going to change the industry in one episode of a podcast in one day, in 1 year. But I think it's something that we need to move away from if we want to see a better outcome for this kind of behavior.
So something that has recently started affecting me, maybe that's not the best way to say that, but looking up reviews for tools, I only recently became a mechanic for my day job, and it's really important for me to go out and look up reviews of the tools that I start taking interest in and making sure that I see their comparison versus the competition. The great thing about this is that there are actual objective numbers. There are machines that have been scientifically calibrated to output specific numbers to give you very, very specific data and information. This is all objective. It's absolute, it's repetitive, it is constant, it is not something that changes between person to person. Maybe brand to brand, but because of standards, they're not going to change very much. You can rely on these numbers. Whatever anybody tells you, you can hold them to or against what they say and in comparison to the tool's output.
Okay, but what if somebody has like really, really small hands?
Uh-huh.
And so like a big negative review is, I can't hold these instruments.
Well, I mean, see, there's even that he has small hands. It's like, well, I guess you're in trouble because they don't really make smaller sized of these things, even in other brands.
Baby's first tools.
Try the toy aisle, dude. Play School. My first tools.
Yeah, no, that sounds perfect. And if there was... See, that's the thing, too. I think video games are art. At least some of them are. I mean, I don't think, a game like Postal is art. Mm-hmm. That seems like more like Shock Value. But
I don't agree with you, but okay.
That's your opinion, and I will
and
yell
that's
at
what
you
these
for it later.
Are.
No, okay. It's art. You can't say that somebody's opinion of art is wrong. I mean, you might disagree. I mean, there's probably some example where you're like, no, that's definitely wrong. But for the most part, this is definitely more of a subjective thing versus, like what you're saying, tools that are being rated specifically to certain specifications. Yeah. It just...
If I buy a Snap-on, I can compare it to a Harbor Freight, and I can give you the numbers. And they aren't, like, the numbers that I give you, they're not going to change. But if I go up to a guy at Polygon and ask him what his opinion on Assassin's Creed was, if he thinks the graphics were great and gives them a 7, but then I go over to GameSpot, IGN, and ask one of their guys, and they give it a 7 saying that it's horrible, what does that tell you? What happened? Where did this conversion of the numbers happen? Like, why is his 7 greater than the other ones? And because of this little difference, why are they so important?
Well, and also on top of that, you said that what if they gave it the same score with different opinions? What if they give it different scores because of those opinions?
Right.
What if somebody says this game is a 5 out of 10 versus somebody else who's like, this is the most fun game I've ever played. I don't care if it looks kind of bad. It's a 9 out of 10.
It's like if you were on a plane with a bunch of millionaires, all from different countries, landed on an island. What the hell is that money good for now? You all have your different currencies. They can't be bartered there. They can't be traded. They're all worth different things there.
Yeah, like in one of the Zelda reviews that we read, a user review, somebody said that the game doesn't let you skip enough. That you can't skip the shrines, you can't skip the Koroks, you can't skip cooking food. I mean, the Korok maybe, but the other, and that only takes like 2 seconds for it to show up and cheer. Mm-hmm. The other 2 you can absolutely skip. I don't know what game he was playing, but you brought up a very good point. Did he play any of the previous Zelda games? Because you couldn't skip hours of stuff in that game. Every time you found an item, you could not skip saying like, oh, this is a monster gut. You turned off the game, so you probably forgot. But this is a monster gut.
Yeah.
This is a green rupee, and it's worth 1. I mean, my point being, yeah, it is very subjective. I don't know how I would... No, that's not true because I had to give a score to Horizon Zero Dawn. And that seems... I feel like it undermines what I'm saying, but at the same time, it's like, you need people to know at a glance what you thought of the game. It's hard to do that. But hopefully, like, with time, we're going to get away from that system and just be more like, hey, this game is good. Here's some things that aren't so great about it. and that's my opinion. You know, I thought that hunting was great in that game. Some people thought it was tedious having to find certain materials. That's your opinion. That's fine, but you're wrong, and I hate you.
To be fair, also with your review, it's the first one, and we don't have a format yet for those.
That's true.
So
we might get away with the numbers. We might move away from that entirely. No promises, but
only numbers, yeah.
yeah, it's going to be Horizon Zero Dawn. The whole article is just going to say 9.5. But no, we would actually really like to hear what you say because, we're saying that these are all opinions, and we have opinions, but we want to hear yours. If you have one, please comment it on the videos and on YouTube, or in the comments of the website, GameGoPodcast.com, or email us at GameGoPodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, let us know where you get your game opinions from. Do you guys like following review numbers and disagree with us? Do you feel that they also should be abandoned? Or, just let us know what your opinion on game reviews are. Let us know if you don't read them at all, if you'd rather go off of just, old school, go into the game store and just look at the title, look at the back of the box. How do you go about getting your new games?
Yeah, and I actually forgot, we're also on Facebook with the page GameGo. So check us out at any of those avenues. Let us know what you think. This has been Sonorith and my host, H8BitHero, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks.